Everyone, welcome to the Madera County Board of Supervisors meeting. County Council, do we have any reportable actions from closed session?
Madam Chair, there's no reportable action from
We have the robotics team that could probably fix it. Anyone want to volunteer to fix that?
Robotics team, can you fix that?
Okay. Thank you very much. So there are no reportable actions.
correct.
At this time, we will open and close the meeting in memory of anyone wishing to open.
Yes, Chair. I'd like to open and close the meeting in memory of Tammy Jo Nix. She was somebody that many of us knew. I knew her initially as Tammy Hill from Madera High School. She was the class of 73, classmates with Becky Martinez and others. And she was, a very, I guess, quite a character back in those days, and things never changed. I moved away for about 15 years and moved back, and I had to get used to her name, Tammy Jo Nix, but she never changed, and definitely added a lot of a slice of spice in terms of her work with the Madera Tribune. She loved red. She had a red car. She wore red all the time, and she liked her smokes. And but she was quite a lady, and we're definitely going to miss her. And my condolences to her friends at the Tribune and her friends in the community, and to her family. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd also like to open and close in memory of Richard Lawrence Lucchese, who was a member of this community and he's the father of our deputy director, Phil Toller. And so we want to offer him and his family our sincere condolences. Okay. This morning, our invocation is by Pastor Derek Pearl from First Christian Church. And I believe Superintendent Todd Lyle is here. I'd like to invite you to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this morning. We have Supervisor Poitras leading us in the invocation.
The backup, I'm the relief pitcher, the relief prayer. So thank you, everybody. So let's go ahead and go to prayer. Lord, we're grateful for this beautiful day you've given us, this beautiful spring day, for all those in attendance. We thank you for our students from Madera High School, for the great achievement and for the wisdom that you have given them. We thank you for their instructors. Lord, we're grateful for the others that we will be recognizing today. Father, I just ask for wisdom and guidance and clear thinking as we move through the agenda today. We thank you for our city, our county, our country, and we ask these things in Christ's name. Amen. Thank you. Allegiance to the flag of the United States, to the republic.
I see we have our school board trustee, Joanna Fleek, in the audience this morning. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Okay, at this time, it's public comment. The first 15 minutes of each regular session are set aside for members of the public to address the board on any matter under the jurisdiction of the board, but not appearing on the agenda. The board will not take action on any items presented under public comment. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Anyone addressing the board is asked to print their name clearly on the speaker sheet at the podium and state their name and county of residence for the record. Okay.
Good morning, Chair Jay Varney, your CAO. We have a number of items related to fire on our agenda, and with that, we have our new MMU unit chief, Chris Trinidad, with us today. So I have a brief presentation of his bio because I don't think we recognize his promotion back in March. So he was promoted March 10th to unit chief. Chris started his career in 2005, which it looks like from looking at the monstrous bio that Chief McComb gave me, that he has spent his entire time in the MMU, which is a great thing for us in terms of familiarity and having somebody who's totally bought into assisting us. Chris worked his way up through being a fire apparatus engineer, a fire captain, and eventually worked his way up in May of 2021 to being the deputy chief of operations within the MMU, overseeing state operations in 3 counties for fleet, training, safety, emergency command center, and resource management. And he is a facilitator of the Central Sierra Operating Plan, which is governed by the California Master Cooperative Wildland Fire Management and Stafford Act. And that's a really important thing for us as well, given his familiarity with the wildlands. And this entire response agreement is called the CFMA, and that plan includes 4 CAL FIRE units, 3 national forests, 2 national parks, and 1 Bureau of Land Management district, and 1 BIA affairs-based reservation. And if he can get all those people to cooperate, he's definitely the people that we want running our MMU. Chief Trinidad has been part of the CAL FIRE incident management team for past several years, which is another very important skill that he brings to us here. And frankly, there's certain times we can't do without that particular skill. Chief Trinidad is also part of the National Incident Commanders Advisory Council, which is chartered by the National Multi-Agency Coordination Group for nationwide communication and collaboration on the CAL FIRE perspective of incident management, which is attack the fire, don't watch it burn. So Chris is also a resident of Madera County. We're really excited to have him be the chief of our MMU, and I just want to give a quick intro to him before we get into the official items. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Next, you have 3 minutes.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here today. My name is Erin Cappuccino. I'm the Executive Director of Yosemite Sequoia Resource Conservation and Development Council. I'm also here because it is Wildland Fire Awareness Month. And I work with one of the organizations in Madera County that does work to prevent wildfires, to restore after wildfires, and to educate the public about safety during wildfires and how to mitigate wildfire on their property. We're very lucky to have Supervisor McCauley as our board president this year, and he and I are working closely in creating programs to support our other partners who are about to come up and do more for our community in the foothills and the mountain areas. So thank you all for being here today. And if you have any questions afterwards, I'm sure we'd all be happy to chat. Thank you.
Thank you. Sheriff.
Morning, Chairwoman, members of the board. This week is National Police Week, and Peace Officer Memorial Day is on the 15th of this week. So I'd just like to invite everyone here, including the board, out to the 18th Annual Peace Officer Memorial Ceremony for Madera County. We'll be honoring 8 of Madera County's locally fallen, as well as 146 fallen American peace officers that passed away this past year, killed in the line of duty. So appreciate your continued support of public safety and just wanted to extend that. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. And just so the public is aware, the law enforcement memorial is very important to us. So we will be doing a hard stop at 11:50 to head over to those services.
We're going to be doing a proclamation for the wildfire awareness.
Yeah, so any public comment on the wildfire, we'll hold off until the proclamation. Thank you.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Emily Tim. I'm a field representative of Assemblyman David Tongnapa and a resident of Fresno County. The Assemblyman's Bill, AB 1479, which allows the Madera County Board of Supervisors to collapse the office of the road commissioner and transfer those duties to the director of the Department of Public Works, has officially passed the Assembly. It's now in the process of going through the Senate. It is in the Local Government Transportation Committee right now. Should move forward pretty quickly. High utility costs are a big concern for the assemblyman, and he's working on solutions for ratepayers. He did have a bill directly tied to that, and it did not pass the Utilities and Energy Committee, but was granted reconsideration. I do have copies with me of the language of AB 1479, as long as with our comprehensive bill package and a brief outline of each bill and where it's at in the committee process. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
And recently engaged to Joshua Babcock, Emily. So, you know.
Congratulations. Do we have anyone online?
No comments online.
Okay, I will close public comment and move on to the consent calendar. Do any of my colleagues wish to pull or discuss an item?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to pull item E as in Edward.
Is an Edward, anyone else? No, the floor is yours, Supervisor Wamhoff.
I just had a question regarding the funds, and I know it seems like a fairly nominal amount, 20 grand, to have an amendment to the people who already do our accounting to file an application for energy credits. And I think it was a typo on the backup about $1 billion of credits. I think it's 1 million, right?
Yeah, I apologize. I was supposed to.
It's $1 billion of credit, man. We'll throw 20 grand at it, right?
Supervisor, yeah. Yes, I mean, that's there are multiple forms that they have to complete and certify to do the filing, as well as working the IRS portal. It's not a simple form. They make it complicated. You have to create a logon, and you have to do it right in the right sequence and align it with the filing of the county's financial statements. Otherwise, we won't be eligible for the tax credit. That's the quote we got. We decided to recommend going with our current auditors just for consistency because they have to coordinate that.
And the only reason I brought this up because different EPCs or energy providers, and I know that many of them do provide the service of submitting the applications themselves, or at least preparing the applications for either the municipalities or the counties to submit as part of the package. So was this, I mean, I'm assuming, have we reached out? And I'm assuming this is NG?
This was NG. So the NG did put together the package for the battery credits, and that got submitted. This was a little different because it came from the Inflation Reduction Act. So it was a lot. It's connected more to how the county files its financial statements versus anything that we wouldn't feel comfortable handing it off to an energy company since the filing with the IRS is dealing with our financial statements as well. It's just the mechanics are a little different, and they're a couple of years apart because we've already closed this project. Inflation Reduction Act happened, and just because we caught a break on this project because of a delay in the part, it made this project eligible for it because we didn't commission it until after the Inflation Reduction Act got approved. It has to do more, again, to summarize, it has to do more with the way we have to file it. It's more lean towards filing it as part of our financial statements, our filing with the IRS versus something independently that an energy company can do.
Sure. Okay. My next question is, do we know about pausing of federal funding because with energy credits and new federal administration, are we familiar with if this is even eligible at this point or if that funding is paused?
At this point, our information is that it's still eligible. And we haven't heard anything that this particular credit that we're applying for is going to be impacted.
Okay.
And I think along the same lines, we would take a forthcoming board item once it gets approved to seek direction from the board on how to allocate the funds. In the past, we put it in deferred maintenance funds, but that would be a subsequent item once we get the filings done and we know we have a timeline of when we get those.
And we do believe we're eligible for the entire 1.08 million.
That's what CLA is stating, and we're leaning on them on that one.
All right, no further questions. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, I will open it up to public comment. You want to turn on their mic?
There we
There you
go. Good morning, Madam Chairman and board members. I have questions regarding items 5P, the flood emergency declaration, 5Q, the release of the declaration from Madera Community Hospital.
Okay, we can start with P.
Okay, with regarding 5P, I understand that that's been restated for about the last 2 years since we had our flood emergency. I'm curious, what is the status of FEMA reimbursement to Madera County for the costs that it endured during the management of this disaster? Have an answer that I can obtain.
I think what we'll do is if you want to ask your question on P and on the other item, and then we will connect you with the department.
Okay. And then the question regarding Madera Community Hospital release from the disaster declaration. The other question would be, has there been reimbursement from the bankruptcy court for the funds that Madera County supplied to keep the hospital somewhat alive during closure period?
And what we'll do is I see some folks here from the sheriff's department, if I can defer you over to them. And regarding the hospital, you want to take that? You want to meet with Mr.
I think at some time it would be worthy for public information that be disclosed somehow.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I will close public comment and bring it back to the board for consideration. I do want to make the note that the item 5E, it is not $1 billion, it is $1 million. So there is a typographical error. It should read 1,085,000.
I'll move for approval with the noted correction.
And I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Fortress.
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhaugh.
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley.
Yes.
Chair Gonzalez.
Yes,
Vote passes 5-0.
thank you. So the next item is 6A.
Board of Supervisors Department, presentation of a proclamation honoring Madtow Robotics Team 1323, the 2025 FIRST Robotics World Champions.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So we have a real treat this morning. We have world champions sitting in our audience this morning. Let's give them a round of applause, please. The Madtown Robotics won their 2025 FIRST, which stands for Inspiration and Recognition of Science and Technology World Championship, which is their third title. So what an incredible, incredible feat. I wanted to share a little bit about for those who are not aware, in 2025, Madtown 1323 achieved an impressive record of 53 to 3-0. I'm assuming that's the ties and you guys can explain a little more about the scoring. The team secured victories at both the Silicon Valley and Contra Costa regionals in March, earning their spot at the World Championship in April. In Houston, 18 students traveled to Houston to compete, and they captained the winning alliance of the Newton Division. Despite losing their first match in the Einstein finals, the team rallied to win the next two, ultimately claiming the World Championship title alongside teams 4272 and 2910. Throughout the season, Madtown 1323 also received several notable awards: the Autonomous Award at Silicon Valley, the Quality Award at Contra Costa, and the Creativity Award sponsored by Rockwell Automation at the World Championship. This year's victory marks the third World Championship title in the team's history. So I believe we have your coaches here who are highlighted. Coach R.C. Shahal and Vern Belmonte, along with we have the principal, Sabrina Rodriguez, and Superintendent Todd Lyle, and again, the Madera Unified School District Trustee, Joetta Fleek. So if anyone would like to come and share a few words before we present the proclamation. Not all at once. Yay. Come on up.
My name's Kelly Spence. I'm vice principal and I oversee the robotics team. I have to say that as an educator, you hear the words grit, teamwork, compassion, resiliency. But honestly, in the week that we were at Houston, that was alive and very, very apparent in everything that these students do. A lot of times you see the kids that are driving and the kids that are in the pit, but the kids that are in the background doing the stats and the data and the late nights that they put into it, and the way that they rallied with each other when like things were getting tough, they did an amazing job. And then at night we got to eat dinner together, and breaking bread is like a way to like really know somebody. And it was amazing to hear a lot of the kids' stories, to make connections with them because I see them all the time. But this week it was absolutely amazing what they did. And the fact that we lost one, won one, and then we went to the third just with our heads held high. And it was probably the most exhilarating experience, seeing the pure joy in their eyes.
Good morning. My name is Vern Valmonte. I'm the advisor for Team 1323. It was amazing. It was, I mean, when you win a world championship, it's always great. And the way these kids represented Madera is just amazing. Everything that they do, their work ethic, it speaks for themselves. So I can't praise these guys enough. These guys are awesome. So.
Well, thank you very much. We want to congratulate the team. We want to congratulate the coaches, your parents, all those who have supported you. Any of my colleagues have any comments? Supervisor Wamhoff.
Yeah, you young men and women, you may not know it now, but all the time, effort, energy, and camaraderie that you guys have with each other, the late nights, just the incredible hard work that you guys put into this. You guys are going to remember this for the rest of your lives. You may not know it now, but you're always going to look back at this time in your life and be so thankful that you were so dedicated and you put so much time and effort and teamwork into this. And I'm just so happy you guys, have that grit and fortitude to be able to be champions, because you guys will never forget it. And just happy you guys are here in Madera. So representing. Thank you.
Anyone else? Supervisor Rogers.
Yeah, just keep that same mantra, that same energy going. Don't lose your momentum in life and keep going with that same challenge toward your future. You're going to do great things in your future. You'll leave a mark on this world that very few people leave. And I'm thinking this morning of my good friend Mel Dalton, who was paraplegic, who was involved in the design of the lunar module. And you can still see Mel's work. He's long since passed away, but you still see Mel's work on the moon. It's still sitting up there. The mark he made in life was because he had momentum, no matter what his circumstances were. He just kept going and with that same energy. So I would encourage you to carry this through into every part of your life, and you'll remember it. It'll make a big difference for you.
Do we have any public comment on this item? See none. If
None
the
for mine.
team wants to join us in the front, I think the board will stand back. And oh, we do have public comment. Come on up. Apologize.
Hello, board. Hello, students. My name is India. I am from Congressman Adam Gray's office. I came in late this morning because on the way down to his plane, the congressman heard about your guys' first place winning down in Houston. So we had a certificate made as well to recognize Madtown Robotics. I hope that we could present that as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Okay, we'll invite the team. We'll invite everyone. Todd, Joetta, the school. I see there's a lot of folks from the school district. Come on up. Please join us. And then we'll stand back here. I know it's gonna go. Item 6B.
Board of Supervisors Department, presentation of a proclamation recognizing May 2025 as Wildfire Awareness Month.
Oh, this item, I'm gonna hand it over to Supervisor McCauley.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just going to give everybody a quick second to filter on out here. So I am pretty pleased to be here today with this proclamation, which we plan on issuing to our friends at the Mariposa Merced unit. We recognize Chief Trinidad just a little earlier, and so I'm happy he can be here to receive the proclamation. I'm also happy our former Chief Matthew Watson is here, kind of undercover with the goatee there. I hardly recognized him when he came in. And I'm very pleased that some of our partners in wildfire risk mitigation are here. That's our friends at Coarse Gold Resource Conservation District and Yosemite Sequoia Resource, RC&DC, as well as the Fire Safe Council. They've been really instrumental in some of the work we've done to prevent fires. And of course, our friends at CAL FIRE work in that capacity as well, also working on the suppression side. And they've done some amazing work here in Madera to help keep us all safe. So happy to have this proclamation, happy to have several items today on our board's agenda that really complement what we're doing here. I also want to take a quick second to recognize our county grant writer, Tristan Champ, who has done just a tremendous amount of work with our partner agencies, with CAL FIRE, supporting them from an administrative point. So Tristan, you are a Rotarian, and so I do have something here for you as well today. So I have a challenge coin from Rotary that I want to present to you along with the proclamation that I have for Chief Trinidad. So I hope when we come down, you can join us for a photo as well, and I can hand off this challenge coin to you. So as a Rotarian, you know that it is all about service above self. And so I really do feel like you have gone above and beyond your typical responsibilities as a county grant writer to work with our partner agencies, making sure they get the technical support they need to be successful. Part of our capacity building efforts here at the county with our partner agencies. So thank you for all your efforts there. So I think that is enough for me. Again, we have this proclamation. We're hopeful to take some pictures here in a second, but I know the folks at Fire Safe Council, as well as the RCD, want to make a couple quick statements on some of the work they've been doing into the community. So if you guys are interested in coming up, and then Chief, I'm not sure if you have anything you want to add as well. Would love to hear from all of you. So,
Okay. Do any of my colleagues have any comments at this time? Seeing none, I'll open it up to public comment. Come on in.
My name is Ashley Nebeker, and I'm the Executive Director of Eastern Madera County Fire Safe Council. And thank you for having us here. Thank you for this proclamation. It's important. Eastern Madera County is often in our daily lives, we literally function around the threat of wildfire. And now the wildfire season is year-round. Any support that we get from the county is greatly appreciated. And also amongst our partners, we're working really tightly and building more and more collaboration for capacity. We don't have a moment to spare when it comes to wildfire, so we really appreciate all your support you can direct towards us. And please know that on our end, we're doing everything we can to reach all of our residents on the behalf of not just up in the foothills and in the mountainous areas, but on the valley floor also, because we know that wildfire also reflects and affects people down here. So once again, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Whitney LeKay, and I'm the Interim Executive Director for Coarse Gold Resource Conservation District. And I have Kelly Green with me here today. He's our FireWise coordinator. And we just wanted to take a minute to thank Madera County, thank our partners for allowing us to be able to do so much work in helping Eastern Madera County become fire safe.
And we've got a couple really cool Firewise statistics that we want to share with you briefly. We do that.
Thank you, Whitney. So since Core School RCD became Firewise County Coordinator 2021, we've added 25 new communities, 7 each year. We're working to meet or beat that. Number of homes, we've increased the number of homes covered by the Firewise program by 1,400 homes in the District 5 in our area in the mountains. What else we get, Whitney? Insurance, yes. So with that, all those homes qualify for an insurance discount. They range between 5 and 10%. So if we calculated about $1 million in insurance savings since then. Community risk investment. They're tracking their hours, expenses for getting their homes and properties firewise and fire safe. Every year, we've doubled the tracking of what they're investing. So in the 2024, we've tracked over $2 million worth of investment because of the Firewise program. What else we got?
I think that's about it.
Those
We've
are
got
big
lots
ones.
more information if anyone's interested, but we won't take up all your
Because of the program, we have applied for grants. CAL FIRE, we've $1.2 million. Help communities clear their land, clear to the land for access for fire equipment, for egress for the residents to get out, and partnered with all these different groups to.
It's given us a great opportunity to kind of come together as a community and keep our community fire safe. Look forward to grow and working with all of you and our.
Thank you.
Chair, members of the board, CAO, County Council, thank you for the great introduction and thank you for having this proclamation today. As we know, community risk reduction, wildfire preparedness, et cetera, is very important. But I think the focus today, not only with the work that we do as agencies and our partner agencies, but the thank you should go to the county and then the community-based organizations that actually make this happen, and then the applicants for those grants. And without the community identification of where the risks are associated in the communities, I don't think we'd be able to have a good partnership to reduce the threat. Little fun fact, and I'm sure you guys all know this, is there's significant legislation out there right now that is aiming towards community resiliency and reducing the risk of not only wildfire, but other natural hazards and emergencies. And they are significantly gaining traction. And as a state agency, we're on the forefront of being in the communication link to that and being able to bring that information back to the county level. So thanks again for having that proclamation. But in my opinion, I think the real thank you does go to the community-based organizations that are making it happen out there every day. Thank you to Tristan for the grants that happen. We know that the CCI grant that's happened throughout the entire unit and the counties, providing the equipment and then being able to leverage employees to get the work done and partner with the communities is paramount. So we'll continue to be partners, continue to be a good neighbor. And I look forward to the proclamation yearly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. All right. Sorry, I'm not trying to.
No, go ahead.
Unless there's any other public comment, we'll come up and do a little picture real quick. And yes, Chief Watson, we'd like you to join us.
It is 10:39. We're going to jump over to our public hearings, item 7A.
Board of Directors, Special Districts, Assessment District Number 89-1, Pines Tract, Public Works Department, Maintenance and Operations, hearing to consider an adoption of a resolution approving the estimate expenditures and making the determination to levy and collect a special assessments for road maintenance purposes within Assessment District Number 89-1, Pines Tract, Bass Lake.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Jared Carter with Public Works. I'm hitting for Phil today. He's out. This is a hearing for consideration of adoption of the extension or continuation of the assessment for 89-1. This is the district in Pines Tract. Approximately 562 parcels in this tract, and they maintain about 6 miles of roadway. This is an annual assessment of $100 per parcel that goes towards maintaining those roads. And included in your packet is a projected 20-year cycle for maintenance throughout that district. Again, this hearing is to adopt that assessment to continuation. The Homeowners Association of Bass Lake has been involved with the process and recommends approval as well. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Jared. This is a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing. Do we have any questions or comments from the board? Do we have any public comment on this item?
None online.
We have none online. I will close the fastest public hearing we've had. I will close the public comment, close the hearing and bring it back for action.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McCauley.
Yes.
Supervisor Warmhoff.
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras.
Yes.
Chair Gonzalez.
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, Jared. In the interest of time, I see that Chief Trinidad is here. I'm going to jump to 6I. Madam Clerk.
County Administration Department, Fire Department, discussion and consideration of entering into an agreement with State of California, Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, CAL FIRE, allowing the cohabitation of Madera County Fire Station 11 in North Fork to house a fire engine and any other equipment mutually agreed upon, including all necessary staff and supplies for the operation of the fire prevention and fire suppression services, and authorize the chair to sign.
Thank you, Chair and members of the board. Yeah, so that's a lot of language, but in a nutshell, what that ultimately means is there's currently a CAL FIRE station staffed at Rancheria Station on Road 200 in O'Neill's. And knowing that we have an increased threat of wildfire and an opportunity to have a quicker response time into the community of North Fork, where we've had some historic fires in the past. We know that there is not an ability right now for the county to put county paid staff into a fire station. So how do we leverage our relationship, and how do we have the state have an interest in protecting the wildlands for a state mission response, as well as being able there to support the community? So in conversations over the past couple of years, we've identified that we have the ability to move one of our state stations into the county facility that's newly built there as that joint station with the grant from the North Fork Rancheria and then Madera County Fire Station 11 to improve response. So ultimately, the agreement says we will move a engine there with no time limits on it. That station will be staffed 365 days a year. It will become the Amador station when there is an Amador agreement in place. In the event that that engine, since it's a state resource, is sent to support the state elsewhere throughout the state, we will bring in a cover engine to cover behind to ensure that that station always has coverage. Not only for a state mission response to reduce wildfires and meet our mission of keeping 95% of fires 10 acres or less, but also to help support the community. So being able to leverage this relationship with what we can do to assist the county and the state is before you today. And I'll see if Chief McComb has any additional comments to add to this.
Just an update from my side. We have crews today, actually, and contractors at Station 11 trying to finish up some of the communications and the telecom work that needs to be done. There's quite a bit that needs to happen behind the scenes before we can move the engine in there, but we are diligently trying to get everything completed. They're actually assembling furniture and doing all the taking care of all the amenities for the firefighters. And as soon as we're done and we get it all clear from the county, then we will move forward with moving the engine. And I believe CEO Varney, we've had early discussions with a ribbon cutting ceremony for sometime in June. So looking forward to that. But we're on the fast track to try to get it done as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Any discussion from the board?
Yeah, I'll just jump in really quick. Really a great day for the community of North Fork and Madera County as well. So I want to thank both of you. I also want to recognize Chief Van Lobensel's. I know he was fairly instrumental in making this happen. We've been talking about it for a long time. It's kind of one of those things. It's like we're waiting, and all of a sudden, boom, it's just done. So just amazing to have that coverage there, and just a great model. I'm hopeful we can maybe, look at applying this elsewhere in the county. I know we've had some basic conversations around that. A lot of work that needs to be done before we can make that actually happen. But I think it's just a wonderful thing we're doing here to, increase coverage in the area, decrease response times, not just for fire, but also for medical or for medical services. I think most people don't recognize that, just because it's a state unit, you're not just doing wildland operations. You're also going out, you're hitting the homes, you're doing the medical emergencies, you're doing anything that a regular engine would do. So I just want to, again, commend you both for all your efforts.
Thank you, Supervisor McCauley. One piece to add on to that from the state level side of things is historically, the fire stations throughout the state of California were kind of outlined and set in the grassy areas of the foothills for CAL FIRE. And then as time went on, they got into some higher elevation and different fuel types. But there's an ongoing assessment right now on the state with, are our fire stations located where they should be? And in the 40s and 50s, the communities were not where they are today. So the fire stations were set in certain locations. North Fork, the Rancheria station being one of those. And North Fork's growth as a community and what has happened over the past 70 years is different from what it looked like. So that evaluation does happen at the state level, and we are thankful as a state for Station 11 and that new built facility to be there. It's going to help us tremendously as well, so thank you.
Absolutely. And if I would be remiss if I didn't also recognize the North Fork Rancheria of the Mono Indians for their efforts in making this project possible. Obviously, they managed the project, they brought in the grant funds. Also want to thank Kitchell for their work complementing what the tribe and the Rancheria has been able to do. And then lastly, I want to recognize the North Fork Fire Auxiliary for coming in with some support to help make sure that we get all the furnishing in there. Obviously, if we don't have things like beds and the accommodations, folks can't live there. And as I understand it, the auxiliary had a big piece to play in that. So thanks to them as well.
Thank you. Supervisor Wamhoff.
Yeah, thank you guys, and congratulations on the promotion too. What I've learned about firefighters is that they really care about their resume because everything's so competitive. So I think to get promoted, you just print out your resume and put a ruler or tape measure next to whoever is bigger, just gets the job. Not sure, but no, you guys have been great. This is a perfect example of partnership, and quite honestly, this is a screaming deal for the county as well. Having the state responsibility area, because just like my colleague said, these state stations, they're responding to all types of calls for service, medical aids, vehicle accidents, structure fires, not just wildland fires. And in many ways, the apparatuses that they have are more capable to handle a lot of those things, the terrain in those areas for not just wildland fires. So we're super thankful. And I did want, for the public's knowledge, because Eastern Madera County is full of fuel. And there are a lot of concerns, not just regarding the fuel, but egress and those types of things. But response times are also a concern for many, many people. And I think there's a lot of misinformation out there. So can one of you guys explain what the response time is for Eastern Madera County? So if someone is having a heart attack or car crash or some sort of trauma related incident, what is the response time? for CAL FIRE from either a county station or a state staff station? And I know he has the answer, so I'm not just I know he does, though. I'm not pulling it out of the blue. So
Fisher Bud.
To answer your response time question, so as far as the county, we fall under the rural category under NFPA 1720. With that, we are a combination fire department, which is paid staff plus volunteers. The recommendation from NFPA is that 80% of the time you will have a response time of under 14 minutes. And in Eastern Madera County, for the most part, we are above 80%. There is some spots, I'll say Kirkhoff, Lake or Reservoir, Redinger, some of these, hard to, well, they're just distant from our fire stations. Those are some of our holes, I would essentially say, that takes a little bit longer to get there. But for the most part, if you look across Eastern Madera County on the valley floor, we're under the 14 minutes.
So well within response times. There have been some people that have noted that we are non-compliant in Eastern Madera County. Can you explain that?
So what I think you're referring
for
to
standards.
Yeah. So what I think you're referring to is our last application for the SAFER grant. It was stated that we are non-compliant at the staffing levels of our paid call firefighting capabilities, I guess I'll say. When it comes to our paid stations, we are at 2.0, which is 2 firefighters on per day, which is the CAL FIRE minimum requirement for the contract, right? So when it comes to our paid fleet or our paid firefighters, we are within the CAL FIRE compliance, I will say.
Thank you for the clarification because, take the Bass Lake volunteer station as an example. It's considered non-compliant, right? Because we don't have staff there. They don't even have sleeping quarters there, right? But we have the state station that is just a few miles away, and that does cover full service 3.0 staffing for that area. So the whole point of me saying this is, you guys do a great job. Could stations be positioned a little differently? Yes, they could. But overall, we have a great partnership between the county and CAL FIRE, and response times are really good. Can we always improve? Yes, we can. But I'm really happy with this partnership. And the only reason I went on this diatribe is just for people to know that we are well within the limits for response times, and we have a great partnership, and it's a great value to the county. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Rogers.
Yeah, I just want to say that I really appreciate the board's commitment to public safety in this regard, and our 76% of our discretionary funds go to public safety, and we want to continue to expand that as we can. And I also want to express my appreciation to your department and you personally, and as you've worked through to expand efforts in District 2 as well. And we've got a number of agreements with that we didn't have before in place. We have personnel in place that we didn't have before. That's outstanding. And we're continuing to expand on that. We have things in the hopper right now, efforts that are lean towards expanding our presence in D2. And I want to just say too that in this regard, facilities have always been a problem. The facilities are expensive. They're more expensive than ever. And I appreciate the out-of-the-box thinking that you've used to get beyond that. And we're going to continue to do that even in other districts. And so thank you. And we appreciate what you guys do on a daily level. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? At this time, I'll open it up to public comment.
Madam Chairman, Bill Ritchie, a citizen from Raymond, public safety advocate. I'd like to compliment and congratulate Chief Trinidad on his promotion for the MMU unit. I believe having a local person that's very familiar with the needs here, having been engaged, I think is going to be a tremendous asset going forward, having his insight and the needs of all three counties, but particularly Madera County. There's no doubt that the contract with this station is going to have a great impact. As you're all aware, my primary interest for my life has been emergency medical services. And this engine at North Fork, because of the population density and concentration, will definitely be a lifesaver. It'll be a lifesaver for patients that have cardiac arrest. It'll be a lifesaver for patients that have serious trauma, and particularly when there is not an ambulance station in North Fork, this will make a huge difference. I'd like to make a comment regarding the pay call firefighters that was briefly touched on. I've mentioned here before, we've witnessed in the last several years, and despite the efforts of the county to increase incentives for people to become PCFs, we're witnessing an unraveling of the PCF program in Madera County, down to where really there's probably a dozen. And even though now we're going to have a staff station at North Fork, there is still a need for PCFs at that station. And I would hate for the community to believe now that there's a paid station. There's not a need for local people to step up and volunteer and become PCFs. There is another engine there. You know, the engine that's there is a more of a residential structural fire engine with higher pumping capacity that's vital for insurance ratings. There's also the engine 611, which is the wildfire auxiliary truck that can go off-road. And I believe the county definitely needs that additional staffing. So going forward, and Chief Trindad's tenure as leader, this needs to be looked at on how we can have additional incentives and a renewed push to recruit pay call firefighters to serve with Madera County. Before my time's up, I agree with Supervisor Rogers. You know, we've talked about areas of the county that do need attention, and I hope going forward, and I see you have a study that may be coming up for emergency needs, that we can address the critical shortage as well in District 2. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment?
Chair, I got some comments that were sent to me by former Supervisor Gary Gilbert. He asked that I read them into the record.
Absolutely.
I know we don't normally do this, but I'm going to indulge him. So first, I would like to acknowledge the North Fork Rancho Mono Indians, the North Fork Fire Auxiliary, and the Board of Supervisors, who all have worked in partnership to bring Station 11 to completion. Thank you. I would also like to acknowledge Unit Chief Trinidad for his leadership in showing what integrated cooperative fire protection is all about. Thank you. The community of North Fork truly appreciates the cooperative agreement between CAL FIRE and Madera Fire Department taken by your board today to strategically place a fully staffed CAL FIRE engine at Madera County Fire Station 11. It will decrease response times to fires, medical aids, and vehicle accidents in and around Station 11, thus providing a higher level of safety to our residents and visitors. Thank you, Gary Gilbert.
Thank you. We will include that in the record. At this time, I'll close public comment and bring it back to the board for consideration.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a first, a second, and a third. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McCauley?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhaugh?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Chair Gonzalez?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you. Okay, we will jump back to item. No, we 11. Sorry.
45 minutes.
6C.
6C.
Social Services Department presentation of a proclamation recognizing May 2025 as Foster Care Awareness Month.
And thank you all for your patience. I see some youngsters in the back that find this meeting very exhilarating. But I wanted to be mindful of Chief Trinidad's time. So
You've done very well to be patient back there. So good morning, Chair, Supervisor, CAO, community members. My name is Nikki Matus. I'm Deputy Director of Social Services over Child Welfare and new Madera County resident. We are here to recognize National Foster Care Month. It is an initiative of the Children's Bureau, and each May we take time to raise awareness of issues related to foster care and acknowledge the parents, family members, foster parents, child welfare and related professionals, mentors, policymakers, and other members of the community who help children and youth in foster care find permanent homes and connections. This year's theme, Engaging Youth, Building Supports, Strengthening Opportunities, emphasizes how it is essential to create a child welfare system that takes a holistic and culturally responsive approach to engaging youth and planning for their future to help them leave care with lasting relationships, meaningful supports, and greater opportunities. The Madera County Department of Social Services recognizes the special role that our resource families have in preparing foster youth in their care for the next phases of their lives. We would like to take this time to highlight 2 newer resource families that have dedicated their time and care to the youth of Madera County. We are grateful to all resource families who open their doors at all hours to provide our youth with a safe, comfortable, caring home and familiar support in their greatest time of need. And I have one of our social workers, Leslie Mendoza, and she's going to say some words about the 2 families that we have here today.
Thank you.
Hello. Hi. So the Madera County Department of Social Services would like to recognize Teresa Mesqua for her warm heart and dedication for supporting Madera County youth. Teresa became a resource parent in August 2024, providing a safe and loving home for 10 youth in the short 8 months that she's been a resource parent. Teresa has been an amazing partner to the department through good communication, having a great attitude, and providing a safe and loving home for the youth in the care. She also encourages parent empowerment when appropriate to support parents bringing their children back into their care. Thank you, Teresa, for your commitment, patience, and dedication in helping our foster care.
Thank you.
We would like to also recognize Francine Yoshimi for choosing to give back to her community through supporting Madera County youth. Francine has been a licensed resource family with Madera County since October 2024. Since being licensed, Francine has received placement of 7 children in only the 6-month period. Francine was motivated to become a resource parent to give the children in her community a safe, stable, and nurturing environment to cope with their traumas. She stated how she never received guidance and proper upbringing, but felt God had put her in a position to show love and compassion to children in need. Francine is open to providing long-term foster care for permanency in a form of guardianship or adoption, whichever is the best interest of the child. Thank you, Francine, for your commitment, dedication, and caring heart for our foster.
Thank you, everyone. I just wanted to thank also the community. I wanted to thank law enforcement, the social workers, the fire department for keeping the community safe. I think that it takes everyone to look out after each other. And I also wanted to thank my fabulous 5 fosters. One is at camp, but they've been working really hard and they've been listening to the rules. They've been pulling weeds so that it prevent fires as we're up in Corso on 1.5 acres. So there's never a choreless day. So I just wanted to thank everybody, and I wanted to really dedicate this acknowledgement and recognition to the community. And thank you so much for having me here and just being a part of this great thing that we can all do together. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Madera County Department of Social Services appreciates all of resource families who provide love, guidance, support, and commitment to the well-being of Madera County foster youth. We will be honoring our families with an appreciation dinner, giving gifts, and supporting training on June 24th, 2025 from 5:30 to 7 p.m.
Thank you very much. Well, with that, we would just like to thank each of you, the foster families, the staff over at DSS, all the partners that make this possible. It does take a village. So we want to recognize all the work that you do. And we would like to proclaim May 2025 as Foster Care Awareness Month here in Madera County. Before we take a photo, do any of my colleagues wish to make a comment? And then do we have any public comment on the site? Yep. So if you'd like to join us, Deborah, I see you. Come on up. Anyone else that'd like to join us for the photo? One more proclamation. Item 6C.
6D,
6D.
Behavioral Health Services Department, presentation of a proclamation recognizing May 2025 as Mental Health Month.
And we have Chrissy Dodd, the director of DSS. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Chrissy Doss, Director of Behavioral Health Services. I want to thank you for the time you're taking to recognize Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm honored to stand here today on behalf of our behavioral health team, our partners, and most importantly, the individuals and families in our community who are impacted by mental health challenges every day. This month is about more than awareness. It's about action, compassion, and breaking down the stigma that still too often keeps people from reaching out for help. Mental health is a part of every one of us, just as essential as our physical health. And when we speak openly about it, we open the door for healing, for hope, and for change. Here in Madera, we're working hard to ensure that mental health services are accessible, responsive, and rooted in dignity and respect. Whether it's crisis response or long-term recovery support, our goal is to meet people where they are and walk alongside them toward wellness. We thank the board for your ongoing support and for standing with us this month and every month as we continue to prioritize mental health in our community. Together, we can create a future where asking for help is seen as a strength and where no one has to walk their mental health journey alone. So thank you for that. I'm going to turn it over to Adrian. He's going to go over some of the activities the Behavioral Health Department is doing to bring more awareness in Madera County.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So my team and I have been hard at work trying to cover Madera County, providing services to the community. We're holding different type of resource events. We're attending resource fairs at schools, local community centers, and we're also providing mental health and awareness trainings, not only for the community members, but also Madera County staff as well. For the month of May, we've been doing mental health awareness first aid trainings, which we've had about 26 Madera County 26 Madera County employees already attend. We're also doing applied suicide intervention skills training for the month of May. In addition to that, we have a shadow box presentation outside the government center lobby here, where our team has different facts and resources that are available for anybody to read on in regard to mental health awareness. In addition to that, we also attended a mental health conference and resource fair at Matilda Torres High School last year that had over 500 participants. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a proclamation here for May. I was looking this morning in my closet. I couldn't find any of the lime green. It's just not a very popular color. But I just want to appreciate you, Christy, and your team for all the work that you do. I know we have a fair going on right outside of our chambers for the employees. And so it just the level of work that you do is tremendous, and we truly appreciate all that you and your team do. Do we have any comments from the board before we take a photo? Seeing none, and do we have any public comment on this item?
None online.
At this time, well, if you'd like to join us for a photo. Thank you. Item 6E.
Behavioral Health Services Department, discussion and consideration of approval of the receipt of unanticipated revenue 24-136 in the amount of 3.5 million derived from behavioral health services federal mental health services to professional and specialized services for fiscal year 2024-2025. 4 votes are required.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board, Amber Mojica, Behavioral Health Services. I'm here today for the approval of receipt of unanticipated revenue 24-136 in the amount of $3.5 million. As the county's mental health plan, behavioral health is responsible for contracting with providers to ensure that Medi-Cal clients receive the care they need. Recent changes under the CalAIM initiative, specifically within the fee-for-service model, have expanded the types of availability and services, resulting in increased utilization across our provider network. This has led to greater drawdown of federal funds. And to ensure providers are reimbursed appropriately, we're requesting a transfer from our mental health federal services revenue line to our professional and specialized services line. So this will allow us to continue providing services that are essential to our community. I'm here if you guys have any questions.
Excellent. Thank you for that presentation. Any questions from my colleagues at the board? All right, seeing none, let's go out for public comment. Any public comment?
None online.
Doesn't look like we have any in the house, so we're going to bring it back.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Got a first and a second. Second. And a third. Roll call. We got a first from Supervisor Wamhoff, a second from Supervisor Poitras.
Don't matter none.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhoff?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Pro Tem McCauley?
Yes.
I'm back.
Chair Gonzalez?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 6F.
6F, Community and Economic Development Department, Planning Division, discussion and consideration of entering into a funding agreement with Groveland Development Corporation for construction of the Riverstone Fire Station, and authorize the chair to sign.
Thank you, apologize, Chair. Matt Treber, Development Services. The item before the board for consideration is an agreement with the county and Groveland Development Corporation for funding and debt services of a new fire station. That fire station has been approved and permitted by the building department, and so we are going to move quickly into construction phase and bond for this improvement. Again, just for clarity and for the public and the board, this is funded out of impact fees collected primarily within the Riverstone development. Exhibit C to that agreement does show the scope of the area that are collecting fees and going to that. Again, 95% of those are from Riverstone and adjoining vacant lands, when and if there were permits issued on those properties. Again, we have approximately 4 million on deposit right now from fees collected. And we anticipate about $1.5 million annually collected through the build out of that. Again, the development, the debt service will be funded from those impact fees collected within Riverstone, and the developer is the backstop to any shortfall annually that may occur. We don't anticipate it, but the agreement is drafted so that any shortfall is picked up by the developer. Available for any questions?
Questions, comments from the board? Supervisor McCauley.
Yeah, no question. Just a quick comment. This is obviously going to be funded by the development, and so there's no real cost to the county. But obviously there's a huge benefit to the county though, because when there is an emergency, up in Eastern Madera County, those fire stations all respond, right? And so it's an all hands on deck kind of approach. So the more personnel we have in the county, the merrier, as far as I'm concerned. So just another great accomplishment for the county. Congratulations to you. Congratulations to the developers over at Riverstone. Great day. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhaug.
Just for the public's knowledge, can you give a brief description of what this facility is going to be like in relation to other fire stations, where it's located? And yeah, we'll start there.
Sure. So the station will be located approximately 1,000 feet south on Road 40, 1,000 feet south of its intersection with Avenue 12. So again, pretty centrally located to serve not just the Riverstone community, but also when you factor in that 360-degree radius for service, you're going to hit the Ranchos. Rolling Hills will obviously see an increase beyond, because this station, getting to your second part, will be footprint-wise and staffing-wise our largest station. When complete, it'll be a 3-bay apparatus. It'll look a lot like, for those familiar, the city of Madera's fire station out by the airport. It'll look very similar to that design as far as square footage and footprint. So community space, meeting room space. And so, looking forward to it. It'll anticipate being a huge asset, not just Riverstone, as supervisors already pointed out, but to the region there.
Great. Thank you. I think this is a huge win for the community. The temporary fire station of 30 years, I believe that the 30-year temporary one in Rolling Hills, will still be covered by this location, and this will benefit those who are in the ranchos as well, regarding those response times, because Station 19 is a little bit further away. But for those vehicle accidents and those things that are occurring along Avenue 12 and Highway 41, this will provide for faster response times. And the biggest question that we get generally from the public is, who's paying for it? And I know it's been spelled out crystal clear, but development in Madera County pays for itself. And I think that's an important message to get out to folks, that yes, we have these big, beautiful, nice buildings. They are going in new development areas, but they are paying for them. So we're grateful that we're in a position that we can build these new stations, and grateful for the vision of those involved. Tim Jones for his vision with Riverstone. It's a beautiful location, and without those investments from many years ago, has it gone perfectly smooth? No, it hasn't. We've built some of these roads, built them out a long time ago. Yes, we should have. But I'm glad we're moving in the right direction, and thankful for this. So thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Rogers.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I don't want to belabor it, but I do want to emphasize that these subdivisions have become a great benefit to the entire county. And I remember 2011 when I sat on this board and for the first year, and one of the first motions I made was to entitle Riverstone. And it was, I think it was a great model that we've used where they are taking care of their interests. They're funding their sheriff, they're funding their fire, they're funding their roads, and they have been nothing but an asset. In fact, they're funding their own water as well. So they've been nothing but an asset to Madera County in every way, have brought about tremendous things, not to mention the awards that they've achieved nationally in those regions for planning and development. And I believe in sales last month, they were number 14 in the nation. That's a remarkable achievement in the nation. I mean, we've got a big country, and here Madera County's on the map because of these very well done subdivisions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
One last thing, Chair, I'm sorry. And it was, and I knew I was gonna forget it, but lead time on build of this fire station.
I would think realistically, we should have our ribbon cutting sometime by the end of 2026. Again, we're going to end up bonding for this. That's going to take some time. The good thing is we do have plans and construction docs approved through the building division already. But you know, I think it's probably a realistic 4 to 6 months for that bond process and bond counsel to get through that. And then we'll be off and running with bid docs and get that done and awarded by the end of this year with a 10 to 12 month construction type schedule. So that's my best estimate as I stand here now, that we should have a nice ribbon cutting out there by the end of next year.
Great. And it should be noted that Madera County was just named the fastest growing county in the state of California of all 58 counties.
I did just apologize, and if I said it again, I guess I'll apologize for being duplication on that. So the backup does spell out, right? We do estimate that this is a $14 million station. Again, funded solely by impact fees paid for by the area that this station is primarily serving, Riverstone. And that's just one major cost, but the long-term cost is that funding and the staffing that sits in that station to provide the service levels that are dictated and demanded out there. That too is also being funded solely by the development within Riverstone. So individual taxpayer money that have existed and lived in this community outside of Riverstone, right? Those taxes are not going to fund the staffing in this station or, as we already said, the construction of that. So that's a big point. Again, it's to the board's leadership throughout this process to ensure that new development pays its own way.
But not just that. I mean, within the Riverstone development, there's 3 million square feet of planned commercial. I mean, what does that do to a county? I mean, that is huge. And all the little things that they're doing along the way promotes the growth in that area. And 3 million square feet of commercial does in an unincorporated area is going to do some really great things for this county. You can overtax people or you can grow, and I'd rather grow.
Right.
Thank you. At this time, we will open up for public comment.
Bill Ritchie of Raymond, California. I want to compliment this board, prior boards, Tim Jones, Matt Trieber, for the investments that have been made possible by the funding mechanisms for Riverstone. $14 million is a lot of money. And we saw when we built Station 3, that ended up costing, out of general funds, a lot of money to Madera County. There are going to be areas of Madera County that eventually need a new fire station. Supervisor Rogers and I have talked about needs in District 2, the Bass Lake Station, the old government center. Probably by the time it is needed, it will have to be funded by county expense. And I've mentioned this to Supervisor Rogers, and I believe Mr. Trieber, that when it comes time to build a station, RRM builds wonderful stations or designs wonderful stations. They receive national awards, and every one of the stations, the city, Station 3, now this station, They're all monumental, the best there is. But I believe the county needs to also investigate alternatives and other building solutions so that when it comes time to pay for a new fire station out of the general fund, it's not $14 million. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Do we have any comments online? None. I will close public comment and bring it back to the board for.
Move to approve.
Chair, if I just may make a quick comment, I just want to touch really, really quickly. And Supervisor Wheeler used to say this all the time. We don't need no Taj Mahal, right? And I'm not quite as eloquent as he is, but what I will say is that we do need to support our fire personnel. And that, you know, to me, what that means is that the fire stations we're building, they come fully loaded with those things that help keep them safe, whether that is a sauna to help them detox after an incident, or the proper equipment to get, you know, their apparatus clean, whatever that is. You know, it's my opinion that the way we truly support our fire personnel is by making sure that they have the right equipment and facilities to stay safe, not just when they are serving as a firefighter, but after they retire. So again, you know, we don't need a Taj Mahal, we don't need a big fancy building, but I do want to make sure any future buildings that we do construct, you know, include those features again that, you know, help keep our firefighters safe and help extend their life expectancy. I think that is above all some of the most important things.
Thank you. Is that a second?
That is a second.
Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McCauley, excuse me, Supervisor Warmoth,
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley,
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras.
Yes.
Kara Gonzalez.
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Item 6G.
Community and Economic Development Department Planning Division waive the reading and adopt the urgency ordinance pursuant to Government Code Sections 25120-25132, amending Chapter 9.32.100 of Title IX of the Madera County Municipal Code relating to fire regulations. The proposed amendment is exempt from CEQA under Sections 15061 E3 and 15304.
Amy.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Jamie Bax with Community and Economic Development. Before you is an urgency ordinance. This is more of a fire prevention type item. Only applies to short-term rental vacation homes. So just a brief overview. Madam Clerk, if you're able to bring up the presentation, please. Thank you. Thank you. So just a brief overview of what we have included in the proposed ordinance is a prohibition of the use of grills, barbecues, and outdoor cooking apparatus under trees, umbrellas, anything flammable, basically. So they need to make sure to move it out into an open area. Requiring a minimum 10-foot distance from structures or flammable materials, or flame retardant protection is required if 10 feet is not feasible. Also, it's prohibiting all charcoal grills and guest provided grills, barbecues, and other outdoor cooking apparatuses. We do also include a restriction on outdoor fireplaces to include wood burning fire pits, bonfires, and campfires, and to only permit natural gas or propane fireplaces with 20-pound or smaller tanks, at least 10 feet from structures. This also does prohibit guests from bringing their own fireplaces or fire pits. It does allow for the vacation renter or the property owner to provide a grill for their guests to use if they'd like, as long as they comply with the proposed guidance. And we're available for any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Jamie. Any questions from the board? Supervisor McCauley.
Yeah, just one quick question. And I did receive this question when I met with some short-term rental operators last week online when we were reviewing generally all of our proposed ordinances around short-term rentals. So would this preclude the owner of a home from having a wood fire pit at their home when it's not being utilized as a short-term rental? Does that question make sense? Or when the home is designated as a short-term rental, does it prohibit those activities altogether, regardless of who's who's there.
That does make sense. This is more intended for use as a short-term vacation rental. We didn't want to necessarily impact those because we do understand people do live in their homes that they might rent out a large portion of the year and just rent it out during the summer. And we didn't want to cause impact to those permanent residences as they're living in the home.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I have one question regarding the outdoor campfires or fire pits. Is this year round or are we restricting this to fire season?
No, we have intended for it to be year round. We are bringing it to you at the beginning of fire season. However, we don't have any dates listed in the code. So it would be all year round.
Is there any reason for that?
Just for fire prevention, as we have seen large fires here in the month of January in the state of California. I think that was kind of the thought behind it. However, if your board wanted to do it more fire season, we can absolutely make that change.
I would like to look at it or hear from my other colleagues what they think on that. I mean, I'm just thinking, if someone's doing the right thing, not in fire season, they've built a defensible space around it. We're inspecting these properties on some sort of to some degree. And so I would just like to be open to that idea. I think people, when they're vacationing up in the mountains, and just one of those things that is nice to do as long as it's done safely and securely. So,
Anyone want to chime in? Supervisor Rogers.
Yeah, I'd like to ask our chief if he might come up and give us his thoughts on this and what he's seen as far as, is it a problem in off season?
Madam Chair, members of the board, just a note that the ordinance does reference in the recital section that the California fire season typically starts in May and ends in October, just in terms of what it says here.
Jess McComb, Assistant Chief for Madera County Fire Department. I will try to give you the best intel I can as far as how we kind of declare fire season. So we've phased out of the fire seasons, and you've heard fire years now. And I think we could come together, and it would have to be closely coordinated as far as when is a good time and when isn't a good time to burn, right? Because you see the changes in the fire years, and even if you're in the dead of winter and we have some sort of mono wind event or something to that extent, you could have issues. But we could evaluate it in close coordination with Ms. Bax and in the fire department and come up with some sort of dates in there. But I will say on another note that my office receives quite a bit of phone calls from folks in District 5 that are using the Airbnbs that are either starting fires or just not being fire safe. I will say that. So it is a cause of concern from my standpoint. But we can figure something out if that's what you'd like.
If I can jump in real quick, and I just want to point out that when Creek Fire came through, it did burn all the way until December. So I know when we referenced the fires this year that was down in LA, it's a different landscape, a little different, but I mean, just for local knowledge, Creek Fire did burn all the way until December. And I also want to point out that, this ordinance does allow for gas fire pits. So you still can have that opportunity as a short-term renter to, use a gas fire pit, which creates that aesthetics, which I think is generally what people are after when they're having some sort of warming fire out on the deck, something of that nature. But I mean, frankly, I've seen a lot of these instances where folks come up the hill and they just really don't have a clue. Whether it's dumping a charcoal barbecue off on the side of the hill, dumping their charcoal barbecue off inside the house, creating an extremely large warming fire that is unnecessary. We've got repeated examples of people just not understanding what it means to be fire safe. But more than anything, I think my concern about putting, a start and end stop to when we enforce this, I think it creates a lot of confusion for visitors, for operators. When is it? When are they not allowed to do it? I think from an enforcement standpoint, much easier just to say we're not going to allow these activities as short-term rental 12 months out of the year. the safest thing to do. It's easiest to implement. Again, it just, there's going to be confusion if it's, in November this year, but it's October the next year, just because it's a little, there's more moisture in the air, whatever the reason is. So I would encourage this board to adopt this ordinance as is.
Thank you.
I just want to, thank you guys for the discussion and enlightening me as far as how basically people are stupid. That's what I heard.
You can't fix stupid. That's what I've heard in the past.
Well, if you're dumping charcoal off the side of a hill or dumping in, you said in the house, you've received calls, dumping it in the house.
In the house, yes.
So those are all new to me, but
Yikes.
I guess if people aren't familiar with fire safety and they're just going to vacation, then it is what it is. So I just wanted to get your guys' input.
Thank you. I know you wanted some input. I'll concur with Supervisor McCauley in that better safe than sorry. So I appreciate the ordinance as proposed. So anyone else? Any public comment?
None online.
I'll bring it back to the board.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first and a second to waive the reading, correct?
Yes.
Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McCauley.
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhop. Supervisor Rogers.
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras.
Yes.
Chair Gonzalez.
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item 6H.
Community and Economic Development Department, Planning Division, discussion and consideration of approval to allow staff to solicit bids for the preparation of a comprehensive needs analysis for Madera County's public safety departments.
Thank you, Chair. Matt Treber again, Development Services. So the item before the board here is we're simply seeking direction to prepare an RFP focused on public safety services throughout Madera County. The county did a similar exercise back in 2007 through 2009 with a firm known as Citygate. A very well-known company and consulting firm that does these types of work throughout the state. That was really focused and primarily only looking at fire stations. The thought here for consideration would be preparation and publication of that RFP to look at all of our public safety aspects, our sheriff's office, our fire department. Our district attorney also spoke with me this morning, and that was a miss up on our end in the backup, right? Certainly looking at district attorney probation impacts as well. A lot has changed since that Citygate study from 2009 as far as development and growth. We've heard some of it, right? And we heard from our partners at CAL FIRE about the states even looking at that too, because a lot's changed in the 50, 60 years since many of these stations were built. So again, the action before the board is simply to request, any discussion, but direction to staff to draft an RFP and publish that. Obviously, any selection of that firm would come back before the board at that time. So again, somewhat nominal cost. We anticipate it's about probably less than $5,000 effort for staff to prepare that RFP and publish that out. So available for any questions.
Thank you, Matt. Any questions from the board?
Yes.
Go ahead.
What do we anticipate this study costing?
Costing? Gosh,
How deep a scope are we looking for this RFP?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thought would be that it's a comprehensive review of not only, staffing levels as they exist today, recommendations for staffing levels ultimately, right? And that will vary, I think, frankly, between, obviously, if you're talking Tesoro and Riverstone, they're going to have an urban level, higher level of service. And again, that's built into many of their development agreements to fund that. The cost of this study, I would envision that it's in the, I'd say 250,000. So it's a significant cost for preparation of that. Again, that is a guess. Obviously, we would refine that scope, right? If it comes in and it's $1 million, that's a different discussion. But I think a realistic number for the cost of this to look at staffing, infrastructure, station location, type of equipment, all of those things, diving into, again, those kind of primary public safety shops, sheriff's office, fire department, district attorney, probation, right? And I think it's realistic to see a $250,000, maybe a little bit more, hopefully a little less. But again, that's my best guess at this.
I want to make sure that response time data is included in the scope, because I know for fire, they're tracking response times, to meet the compliance data, 80% within 14 minutes. I know that we're operating about 90%, but in order for us to know that, we have to have the data. And our sheriff's office at this point does not have the data. And I think it's probably an MDT software issue as far as why we don't have that data. And there is software out there that as soon as the call is dispatched, the time ticks. As soon as the deputy's en route, that time ticks. As soon as the deputy arrives on scene, that time ticks. And we're able to track all of that data from the initial 911 call, from the dispatch time to en route time to actual arrival. And I think that is going to be a huge component in this study, because without that critical information, I think we're missing a huge gap in being able to provide a comprehensive analysis as far as what we need and where those resources should be. So I think as far as a first step, we need to fix that issue.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Supervisor McCauley?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just a quick plug on the RFP. I think I've heard a lot of concerns post LA fire around water infrastructure. And I just want to ensure that that's something we're at least, taking a high level look at as far as our water lines and our capacity to deliver water in the emergencies. That
Yeah.
Am I standing too far away? Sorry. So yeah, if we could just look at the water infrastructure, I think that would be an important component of our public safety. It's not something that's always top of mind, but I think post LA, it's definitely something that people are concerned with. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I just want to piggyback off of Supervisor Wamhoff's comments. So I understand the data is important, but you also have the after impacts with, prosecuting. So we want to make sure that those numbers are looked at. The DA needs those dollars as well as probation. So let's, I'm glad that we're moving forward with this study. At this time, I'll open it up for public comment.
None online.
I don't see anyone rushing, so I'll close public comment and bring it back to the board.
Move to approve. Second.
We have a first and a second roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Rogers, Supervisor McCauley,
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhoff,
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras,
Yes.
Chair Gonzalez.
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, it is 11:43. We have about 7 minutes to get through this next item. We will be doing a hard stop at 11:50. So just want to be mindful. I think we can get through it, Joel, but
I think we can get through the formal presentation and then discussion after.
thank you.
Might take me 7 minutes to read it.
We have to read it. We have to read it all. Go ahead.
Madam Chair, lawfully, we don't have to read it. There are certain ones that we do. So as a matter of practice and never getting that part wrong, we have it read. But this legally doesn't have to. Essentially, it's a capital projects management services, county administration, general services division item. One item is some direction being requested related to construction engineering management services for the fiscal year 25-26 with some options listed that will be reviewed with the board. And the other is discussion of entering into an amendment of an existing agreement with Kitchell CEME, extending it to the term of 2025. Thank you.
Thank you for providing that summary. Joel.
Right. Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Joel Begay, County Administrator of Office. Just a brief history as I wait the PowerPoint to come up. We've had capital projects as a staff augmentation model with Kitchell CEM since December 3rd, 2013. In the past 11 and a half years, they have managed 34 capital projects for us. 19 of that were major tenant improvements, 11 are new facilities, and there are 4 energy savings projects, which includes our solar fields. Actual project management costs, when you look at what we've actually spent versus the construction value, sits at 3.2%. For reference, industry standard ranges anywhere from 3% to 10% of construction value. That's approximately $450,000 per year. As County Council had mentioned, the first recommended action is for the board to consider 3 options, and essentially 3 options for different models on how to deliver construction management services. Option 1 is the current model, staff augmentation model. If selected, the county will issue an RFQ, request for quotation, and then a selected vendor would be selected based on a combination of proposed rates and overall operational value proposed. Pros and cons, under the staff augmentation model, we have kept our construction value project management costs to the lower end of the industry range. So I think we've General Services proven that they can manage a time and material contract well relative to the scale of the project. So it could be more economical. And you can also align FTEs up and down depending on the need. The second model that's presented is as needed project management. And under this model, we're going to hire vendors based on a project basis. Typically, if you do this, you'll have a negotiated rate. I mentioned industry range of 3 to 10%. It's not a time and material contract. You negotiate that up front. The main advantage is you know what you're paying for once you start the project. But again, it may not be a single vendor, so there's no economies of scale. So the likelihood that we can stay on the lower range is not guaranteed. That's just that is a risk. The third option is in-house project management, and that would be utilizing county staff to do it, similar to the roads and bridge projects that we have, where project management provided by county engineers. Under this model, costs would be predictable and capped based on the classification. We do not have a construction manager classification, so that would have to be discussed with HR. But if you align it to engineers, that average is about 190,000 per fully loaded FTE. So the second action that for the board's consideration is an extension of the current contract with Kitchell at the same rate. And the reason we're recommending that is regardless of the model that's chosen and regardless of who the vendor selected, there are a few critical projects that are in process with deadlines that are consequential for the grant. For example, the SB 1022 jail project, we have a notice to proceed deadline for that of October 2025. And then the most recent one, we are on a behavioral health CSU project, as well as 2 improvement projects from public health. Those are all 4 major projects that are currently in process. So as far as what staff recommends, from our standpoint, I think option 1, we've proven that we could manage a time and material contract and keep it on the lower end. But those 3 options, when we looked at other counties, they do a combination of those. So anyway, that ends our formal presentation. Defer to the board now for any questions.
Questions from the board?
Yes, I have some.
Supervisor Wamhoff.
What would we be losing by not having a large firm like Kitchell if we were to go in-house?
I think from our experience with Kitchell, and this goes to any large firm, I think the advantage they present is the depth of knowledge and the depth of personnel that they can pull in. One thing I would say that Kitchell has done well, and I want to acknowledge there's Kitchell representatives in the room, Luz Gonzalez and Rick Warden, is that the ability to be able to switch out a project manager when there's not a good fit. That's a big plus. And they have worked with us throughout the years. Not that the project manager is bad, but sometimes it's not a good fit. They're a better fit somewhere else. And a big firm has the ability to do that. Versus in-house, you hire somebody and they have the set of skills, right? But it kind of stays stagnant because now you're just in the county. You have the ability to bring in people who've worked on different projects in different agencies. That's what the advantage of hiring a bigger firm to do construction manager presents. The risk, though, is that you're paying time and material, right? So you're paying those contractor rates. So if you don't have enough projects, your ratio construction value could be out of whack. But I do want to point out is as long as you manage that, you can keep it to the lower end. Yeah.
Okay. Last thought, and then we've really got to go.
Okay, well, I want to give this a time and attention, so.
Yeah.
I mean, I can hold my comments for that and questions after we.
Yeah,
I think that'd be best.
be fair for the board and for the public. We can come back at 1:15. Is the board? We've got a taco truck outside, so we can grab some lunch there. So thank you. I apologize, but we're going to break, and we'll be back at 1:15. Yeah, I don't want to. Are we on? Thank you. We are back, and we are on item 6J, and we are in the middle of discussion from the board, and Supervisor Wamhoff has the floor.
All right, where was I? I think the last question was, what are the benefits of having a large firm like Kitchell versus having someone in-house? And if you could just give me a refresher on that, please.
Yes, thank you, Supervisor. From our experience over the past 9 years in general services is that with a large firm like Kitchell, you have access to a lot more expertise like engineering, smaller scale architecture when you need it. To use an example where that was handy, we were doing the rescue mission project. It's a smaller project, the 6 tiny homes. We bid out the design for that. Nobody took a bite. It's too small for a lot of the firms that were out there. So that allowed us to then use our agreement with them to pay for as needed design services to get the project moving. So that's the advantage of it's a deeper pool of expertise. And I think I mentioned earlier too, and where Kitchell has been good the past 11 and a half years is that if there's not a good fit on a project manager, they have a deeper pool of project managers with different experience that they can pull from and rotate. It's versus if we have in-house, it's civil service rules. If somebody doesn't work out, you go through the progressive process if they're not meeting expectations, but it's a little less nimble, right?
Right, so a little less flexibility and a kind of a deeper pool. to tap into if you need it.
Correct.
Okay. How much did we pay Kitchell in the last year, or annually? Approximately how much do we pay
So
them?
yes, if you look at the average over the entire length of the contract, it's 450,000 on average. The last few years, we've had more experienced staff that's assigned to us. I think it's between 500 to 600. I don't have the exact number, but it's higher than that. But the average over 11 and a half years is just under $500,000.
And has that always been with two people?
I think we
essentially, kind of
averaged two.
full-time?
In some years we've had three. When we have a surge of projects, so that we made sure the projects keep going, and then we've scaled it back to two the past, I think, since 2022 or 21. We've scaled it back. We've 21, yeah.
And I saw in the contract there's an hourly rate for both of the Kitchell reps we have here. So are we actually, are they sending us invoices based on the actual hours that they spend on projects?
Correct.
Okay. Because that contract showed one at $197 per hour, the other one at $168 per hour. So when I'm looking at, you know, these different options, you said an in-house person all in with benefits and everything is about 190 a year, which equates to $91 per hour. Looks like we could hire, you know, three full-time folks to equate essentially.
Yeah.
But obviously the flexibility and those things go away.
Correct. And I think the rate depends on the level of experience of the project manager. I think we've had project manager ones for, I think the 197 is a senior project manager level, so that's like the highest on that. But yes, if we just strictly compare it to what the senior engineer fully loaded would be, you could get pretty close to 3 FTEs. But again, there are trade-offs on, and
Right.
and when they do build those, it's like, you know, like any other consultant, the time they're working on the project, right? So it's a fully loaded rate. So it assumes that, you know, we're not paying extra when they're out on their own time. So I just want to
Right.
reiterate
No,
that.
yeah, I understand that. It's an all-in price.
It's an all-in price, yeah.
And the individuals aren't getting that same amount of money. That's their
Correct.
overhead and or Kitchell's
Correct.
overhead, salary, benefits package,
Correct.
et cetera. In this particular instance, based on the history that we have, would it be beneficial to because it looks like we can easily have at least one full-time person all the time. Is that a fair assessment?
I mean, I believe so. I think we've never slowed down, to my knowledge, in the last 11 years that we need anything less than one FTE. And I think that's a huge reason why we're able to make a time and material type contract work, is that, you know, you manage a workload. If you have more than at least one FTE workload, you're better at maximizing that you're only paying for, you know, for the actual services that you need. I think if you dip down to less than a workload, that becomes challenging, right? Because who can find somebody to assign to you full time when you don't have full time work? So that means you're paying for a lot of extra time that you don't need. But yeah, a short answer, I don't think we've been in a position the last 10 years where we need less than a one FT.
Because I'm thinking if we did have one person in-house full-time and then have, in addition to that, some master agreement or some, you know, some version of our current situation, I understand because the scale isn't there, there'd probably be a little higher of a rate. But how do you see that?
So just to make sure I'm understanding it's a combination of option 3 and 2.
Correct.
Right, correct. I think
or an option of 3 and 1.
Right.
If you're
Just-
doing that.
And there are counties that are in our research that are set up that way, where they have in-house project managers, then they bring in contract managers when the project is complicated. We didn't get too deep into where that decision lies, but Merced and Tulare, for example, have in-house project managers. Merced has 4 of them, but they still do bring in construction managers project managers for complicated projects, same as Tulare when they built for sheriff projects, they exclusively use outsourced construction managers. I think the only other county that we've surveyed that has the same staff augmentation model would be Kings County, which they have a single vendor providing project management services. I mean, I think any combination of these options, can be researched and can make it work. I think, if a combination of 3 and 2, I will say though that in, in the last 10 years, when we've needed more than 2 FTEs, we have made the staff augmentation work, and it was nice to be able to dip into the expertise just based on the complexity of the projects. But that's not to say that a combination of 3 and 2 from staff's perspective couldn't work for our county, because it work in other counties.
Well, I think the overlying question is, can we receive a high level of service and pay less money with any one of these options or a combination thereof?
I don't know if I can answer that for sure. So what we did compare, but to just look at outsourced companies relative to each other, we did look at rates. The rates are within like $2 an hour currently, like between, I'm not going to name the company, just similar companies that provide the same service. So I think from switching a vendor perspective, do we expect to save a whole lot of money if we keep the staff augmentation model? Our guess would be no. They're a lot competitive in here, that range. The money saved potentially could be if you brought it in-house, but again, whether we can keep the same high level, it depends on who we are able to recruit for that position. Because if you recruit somebody with experience, with a breadth of experience as the in-house, then we potentially may not have a drop, right? But if you are only able to recruit entry-level project managers straight from college, there might be a little drop, right? So it's hard for us to answer definitely, but I think it's a model that works in other counties. So our opinion, there's no reason, if that's the board's desire, for us to figure that part out. But it's hard for us to answer whether we can keep the same level. I think there's a lot of things that need to align.
Keep the same level or maybe even improve, right?
Correct.
So you mentioned one of the benefits is being able to switch people out if they're not working out. I know we recently brought on, the second one here. In your opinion, how are the current folks doing?
So we haven't. They're doing satisfactorily. They're doing great. We have not received complaints from the departments as far as progress. I do know Jorge has been our longer term, more tenured project manager here. Ricky started earlier, I think just under a year. But Ricky has been working in the SB 1022 project, and from our knowledge, we have not received any complaints from the Sheriff's Office staff regards to progress on that project.
Okay. But you would rate both of them as great so far?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Anyone else?
I have-
Supervisor Rogers.
Yeah, my concern is twofold. Of course, the cost is always a concern, and I think that having an in-house project manager could potentially solve that. But my overall concern is the quality. And you mentioned that having a large company has the benefit of being able to trade out. Well, I think that there are sometimes negatives to large companies, and I think that negative is that we are a training ground for their C team. And what I want for Madera County is an A team. I want an A team in every aspect of what we do, because these buildings are long term. These projects are long term. They're costly projects. They're hugely valuable. The repairs on them are astronomical if things aren't overseen properly. The lawsuits are humongous if things go bad. And it's no secret that I had some issues with the last process. That really bothered me. I feel like I've had some interactions with the team that's been here, with some contractors, and I haven't liked what I've seen in attitudes. We've got to have better attitudes with our customers than that, with people. So, that's a drawback to me. Quality is really important. And when we're doing mega $1 million projects, we've got $90 million on the table right now, and we've had more than that in the past. It's critical that I have confidence, because the people that hired me want to have confidence that we're getting the right, that quality of service that I would provide as a general contractor, that I would provide as I'm hired out to people in my profession. It's really important to my clients that I treat them well. It's important to my clients. I wouldn't have a job if I didn't treat my clients well, if I didn't do the job properly, if I didn't avoid lawsuits and work through things in such a methodical manner and a proper manner that I didn't cover the bases. And it's important in private sector. It's important in public sector. Doesn't matter which sector you're in. It's just really important to me that the quality is there, and we're paying a quality price. It's not the money. We're paying a quality price. Do we have a quality job? That's the key.
I think Supervisor, if I may just respond to one of those, I want to clarify that the only instances where we've swapped out project managers for Kitchell was when the county initiated it, not because they wanted to train somebody in here. I do want to make a statement that the process with them has been always collaborative. They've always paid attention to what fits and what doesn't fit. And so I just kind of want to highlight that I don't think we've ever been at risk of training ground. If when somebody works, they stay here, right? So, and they take that feedback from general services.
Anything else? Supervisor McCauley.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just a couple things in regards to this item. I think specifically, when I look at options 1, 2, and 3, and I see option 2 as needed, then I look at our last page is, summarizing all the different projects we have. I mean, obviously the need is here now as we speak. And so I think, it is definitely pertinent for this board to extend the contract with Kitchell so we can wrap up some of these projects. But as to staff's request on input in regards to the couple of options, I'm not a fan of option 2 personally. I'm open to the idea of some kind of hybrid between option 1 and option 3, where maybe we've got an in-house staffer complemented with out-of-house staffer, so we can pull on some of that expertise. I think that makes sense. Currently, as it stands, I've been pretty happy working with the team at Kitchell on a number of different projects. I feel like I understand that, some of the value that they provide is a little bit less than tangible. It's intangible to an extent, whether it's just a quick conversation with Jorge on the fire station in the hallway, or, working on contracts at the Awani Hills Park. I've appreciated their input and assistance with some of those matters. So again, just to recap, not a fan of option 2, open to option 1 and 3, and definitely support an extension for the contract so we can get some of these projects, completed.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Poitras.
Thank you, Chair. I am supportive of option 1. And I'll just share a little story in terms of why that's the case. This kind of ties into our assessor and previous colleague on the board, Brett Frazier. He and I served on the Madera City Council, and we had a what we consider to be and still consider to be, although he's no longer there with the cities in private practice, a very capable attorney who represented us well in-house and was always there available and so forth. Um, and if there was a need for outside assistance, he was there and able to make connections and this and that. So, and that happened quite a bit because of the complexities of city business. When I was fortunate enough to be elected to the Madera County Board of Supervisors, I arrived and found out, well, I knew ahead of time that services were handled by Lozano Smith and not by an internal legal team. And I know that Brett, I think he had some concerns, because like myself, we were used to a certain model and it seemed to work pretty well. But as time has gone on, I've seen the benefits of hiring Lozano Smith as our counsel because of the breadth of experience that they bring to the table, their expertise, and their because they have a lot of contacts. They can bring in people who can really help us out on some very specific and unusual cases. And I don't believe that it was something, there were issues prior, I don't know what they all were, with the internal staff, but the problem is that they might be really good at some, maybe 60% of the work that's very, maybe some HR things that are very routine, but it's that 40% that is on the edges that requires some of that expertise. And so because of that, I've seen the wisdom of hiring an outside firm. Plus, there aren't the legacy costs that go along with another model. And because of that, I like the option one, whether it's Kitchell or somebody else. I like the idea of going out for an RFP. But just having a firm that does have the specific expertise dealing with building construction, commercial building, that do it all the time, and also have the resources to go out and get help whenever they need it. And looking back on the costs involved with our current contract arrangement with Kitchell, taking it out over a period of time, it definitely is on the lower side of the cost in regards to that. So that's the reason. And again, you don't have the legacy costs that you would have. And I think that there's other issues too involving trying to find somebody who has that experience and to pay them. Are we ready to pay somebody who is experienced in the field of commercial construction, what they would probably require to get somebody who's really, really good? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I'll chime in a little. I want to echo the sentiments. I think that it's always a good practice. We've been in this contract since 2013, and it's nothing against Kitchell. I think going back when I was a staffer and Luce was here, always wonderful to work with and very appreciative. Lots of communication. I think there's one missing component because there's a buffer, and so that's been difficult for your office. And so I'm supportive of going out to see, what's available, but definitely extending the contract because I don't want to, create any disruption. Like Dave said, there's a lot of money on the line, and I certainly wouldn't want to stand in the way. So with that, I'm supportive of option one and extending the contract.
Letty?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I really didn't mentally finish my piece, but I stepped away from it. I don't disagree with anything that's been said. And option one really is a good option. I However, I would like to include in that option, if possible, and with the consent of the board, the idea that whoever staffs that has certain credentials and experience. I think that's important, in the RFP, that whoever staffs that, we don't want to be a training ground. And that's a way to ensure that credentials and experience. And I think some statements about some performance standards, like we would for anybody. But I do agree with Letty on Supervisor Gonzalez on the thought that continuity is important. We don't want to bail out immediately, and so continuity, especially when you're in the middle of projects. So as we go out for RFP, if Kitchell is not chosen or whoever is chosen, whatever option we choose, it needs to dovetail and come into play evenly, so that whoever steps in is brought up to speed or what have you. Thank you.
At this time, I'll open it up for public comment. Not seeing anyone rush. Do we have anyone online?
No comments online.
I'll close public comment and bring it back to the board. Action.
Move to approve option one.
And does that include the extending the
Yes.
contract?
And I'll second that motion.
We have a first and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhaugh?
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley?
Yes.
Chair Gonzalez?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, supervisors.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
It is 1:39. We are going to jump into our GSA items and come back to pending legislation.
9A,
Item 9A.
Board of Directors, Groundwater Sustainability Agency, Water and Natural Resources Department, informational update on request for proposal for agricultural measure methods for farm units for 2026 and beyond.
Stephanie.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, Stephanie Agneson, your Director of Water and Natural Resources. Before you today is a consideration of an RFP. This has gone to our committee, the GSA committee, twice and received feedback, including more recent feedback that sort of broadens the scope of the RFP to include the option for an accounting platform as well. As you know, and just heard, the purpose of an RFP is to cast a wide net and see what is out there. We have not gone out for measurement services with an RFP in a while, and the market has changed. New products have been developed, costs have also changed. And the driving force for this is your two existing satellite measurement contracts, Land IQ and EraWatch, now called Hydrosat. Those contracts are ending at the end of this year. So we're sharing an RFP with you and looking for direction to move ahead. I will point out we made some minor language changes from what is in your packet based on some feedback from Wawa, and now we're asking in the project understanding and approach for the people who are responding to describe either how their measurement system interfaces with the groundwater accounting platform, or if they're proposing a groundwater accounting platform and a measurement system to sort of talk how it can integrate and share data, including the farm unit APNs, credits, and penalties. So the item came to the GSA committee twice. It's received public feedback. We've integrated feedback from the meeting and received after, and we're hoping to move ahead with an RFP because these are technical services. We do anticipate a longer lead time and some consultations with IT. Make sure we have security that's best of class. Okay, happy to take your questions.
Questions, comments from the board?
Quick comment, Chair. And I just want to, for the benefit of the rest of the board, just I think Stephanie may have left it out there. With the RFP process, I think we plan on making that a very public process, interviewing those folks and allowing the public to be engaged in that process. So that way we do end up with a vendor or vendors possibly that meet the need of residents or farmers in the area. Also want to thank MAWA for follow up in regards to the accounting platform. I think at our GSA meetings we heard loud and clear that there is a heavy interest in accounting platform, and so these changes, Stephanie, thank you for doing it. Allow that to be a possibility. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone?
Yeah.
Supervisor Wong.
Chair, I think we've collectively all heard loud and clear that we want as much lead time as possible in developing all of these things, doing as much outreach as possible, collaborating before the actual item comes up for a vote. And I think the model that we've been doing recently has been working well. And I think you've been great in being flexible and listening to input. I know, I had some discussions with Noah even after the RFP went out to try to get some clarification. So I think this although not fast, it is comprehensive, and I feel like everybody feels included in this process, and I feel that we're going to get a lot more buy-in when these decisions actually happen, just because we're so collaborative.
Thank you.
I'll echo that. Also, I think that we're in a burgeoning field, and this is this is all new. And as time goes by, a lot of good things are going to be developed as a result of the input that we're receiving from the farm community and collaboratively working on these solutions. So it's going to be, it's going to be interesting to see how all this comes together in a few years. It'll be different than it is today, and we'll know more, and we'll be faster, and we'll try to project better and what have you. So I think it's going to be a good thing.
Thank you. At this time, I'll open it up for public comment. Come on up.
Noah Lopez, Madera Ag Water Association. Thank you, Chair and Board, for the opportunity to comment. Just wanted to echo the sentiment and appreciation for the additions to the RFP. I think MAWA, or as you pointed out, Supervisor McCauley, loud and clear from the growers and from our members that there's a desire for an accounting platform. We got to talk about that at the committee meeting, and then got to talk with several of you all and with Stephanie and work through how this RFP could begin to evaluate how the data would end up in an accounting platform. So we're really grateful. I think the GSA committee process, this is a perfect example of it working really well. So just grateful to your board, to the committee members, and to Stephanie and her staff. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Do we have anyone online?
No comments online.
No comments. This is an informational item. So Stephanie, I think you have some.
I do. So just next steps, we'll release the RFP, and then we're going to have both presentations from the vendors in the GSA committee, as well as interviews. We're going to follow up with a recording of that and a paper questionnaire going to growers so they can weigh in. And then the next time you'll see it, we'll be back at the committee and then eventually at the board of directors level.
Thank you very much. Next item 9B.
Board of Directors, Groundwater Sustainability Agency, Water and Natural Resources Department, consideration to adopt a resolution for the Madera County Groundwater Sustainability Agency Committee rules.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Stephanie Agneson, Director of Water and Natural Resources. What's before you are rules for the committee. There were some initial rules when the committee was created, but these are a little bit more expansive. The purpose, of course, of the committee is increased transparency and more public process and opportunities for input. The two proposed changes since this came to the committee have been increasing the public comment limit from 3 minutes to 5 minutes, and then formalizing a process for making suggestions to the committee for adding additional items to the agenda. In the last committee meeting, Supervisor McCauley suggested memorializing that on the agenda itself, so it was really clear that public comment was used as a way of soliciting ideas for upcoming meetings, for future meetings, and adding the flag salute, which we've done for the June 3rd meeting. So those are the changes before you right now. Happy to take your questions.
Any questions from the board? Seeing none, any public comment on this item? Come on up, Noah. You should just stay up in the.
Stephanie has to keep moving her. This will be very brief, but just wanted to again say thank you. The very cool to see the process of the GSA committee where these rules came before the committee. There was some input from MAWA as well as other members of the public. That input was incorporated, and here we have the rules with those additions before the board. So again, just super grateful, and I think this process is working really well from our perspective. So,
yeah, thank you. Anyone else? Anyone online?
No comments online.
Close public comment.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McCauley?
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhaugh?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Chair Gonzalez?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you. Item 9C.
Board of Directors, Groundwater Sustainability Agency, Water and Natural Resources Department. Consideration to adopt a resolution for groundwater flow meter rule refinement for the use of privately owned and operated groundwater flow meters as a primary measurement method for allocating tracking in Madera County GSAs for Chowchilla, Madera, Delta, Mendota subbasins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Stephanie Agneson, Director of Water and Natural Resources. This item has also come before the committee 2 times. In the last iteration, we have added business to the 10-day period in which you need to get a meter replaced if your meter goes bad. We've also attempted to clarify language related to missing data and use the word unreported instead. Meaning the data was taken and measured, it just wasn't submitted. I will review the rules a little bit because I think there's a lot of wins for growers that I'd like to make clear. Originally, we had to launch this program pretty quickly, and the rules were you had to submit your meter data between the 1st and the 10th of the month. That rule is still in place, but we've added a grace period from the 11th to the 20th. This is for people getting sick, going on vacation, or whatever. That lets us formalize it in the policy so we don't have to make individual exceptions. We do require in this policy separate meters for surface water and groundwater. I think that is really intuitive, but we did have people that were using the same meter in that situation. So separate meters for that. We, of course, want to measure both, but we don't want to think your surface water is your groundwater. Thirdly, we are keeping the rule for meters to be calibrated every 2 years. The win here for growers, though, is that you have until the end of the calendar year your calibration is due in. So that gives a time period in which you would not be at the height of irrigation season. You would have a little bit more flexibility, less pressure. If the meter's replaced, we're requiring a new sticker. I should say this, the stickers are not like we approve of your meter. The stickers are just a QR code, like to access a menu in a restaurant. It accesses the portal for uploading a photo. So the sticker doesn't mean we love your meter or we hate your meter. It's just for getting data. To avoid errors, if we have someone who comes in and it looks like their data is really, really low, like 100 acres using 100 acre feet, and it's mature almonds, for example, this also adds the ability for the GSA to ask someone to take a look at that. So we get a little bit of data on why your water use might be so low. There might be some very good reasons. You might be doing an intentional deficit irrigation strategy. Obviously, some crops are like that more than others, but this allows the GSA to flag those as well. If 2 months, either consecutive months in a calendar year or non-consecutive months, is not usable or unreported or missing, that will push you over to our satellite measurement. Right now, the default is Land IQ. It's written in a general way, so if different vendors were selected in the future, it would be whatever that satellite vendor is. We're also allowing purchase receipt dates of meters to stand in for calibration dates initially, meaning if an irrigation supply house purchases a meter and then it's not sold for a year, we'll use the date you purchased it at the irrigation supply house as the calibration date, which essentially buys them a year. And then we talked about the 10 business days already. And then if you're shifted to satellite measurement, you're shifted for the remainder of the calendar year. If you wish to use meters again, we need you to go through the approval process. So I think it gets much more clear criteria for how to shift people from meters as a primary measurement to satellite measurement. It also gives some rewards to people who are following the rules, and we discussed this in the committee meeting. Most people are doing a really good job, but we are seeing increasing number of people with late data or missing entirely. And those are the folks that we'd want to move over to satellite measurement because for whatever the reason, it's just not working for them at this time. Happy to take your questions.
Question from the board?
I'd just like to
Supervisor Porter.
thank Stephanie and the committee for giving me till the 20th to get my data. Yeah.
Anyone else?
I'm sick every month, starting around the 10th, I'm sick for about 7 or 8 days.
Well, Supervisor, you're anti-farmer, so what do you care? That's what I've heard, so
You're right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
keep that in mind.
Supervisor Rogers.
I want to commend you on, you have really captured the spirit of something that is important to me, and that's the spirit of liberty. And that is apparent in, unfortunately, we have to have these rules and we have to enforce them, and all of these things are in place, not as a result of our desire, but we have to. And I just think you've done a very good job of moving to the favor side of the farmer. And if we can do that in every case, that's an important place to be. Not onerous, but helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Do we have any public comment? Noah? No?
None online.
Doesn't feel right if Noah doesn't come in.
I will close public comment and bring it back.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhaugh.
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras.
Aye.
Supervisor McCully. Mayor Gonzalez.
See. Thank you.
Vote
Stephanie.
passes 5-0.
Thank you. Okay, we will move back to item 8, pending legislation. Jay, we got anything?
I've got 3 quick updates for you before we walk the plank out of here. So you previously submitted letters in opposition to AB 735, which was modifying last year's AB 98 about the warehouses and some operations and things like that. There's been some minor modifications to that bill. There's actually a hearing regarding that bill tomorrow, 5/14 at 9 a.m. I'm unable to tell online if you have access to it remotely. You also previously submitted a letter of opposition to SB 16, which was a letter basically saying that counties will pay for what the cities want when it comes to homelessness response. That bill also had a hearing on the 12th, Monday, and was placed on the appropriations suspense file, which I would consider some level of a victory. And then I'm going to be preparing a letter that I had initially intended to bring to you next Tuesday. However, I'm going to have the chair sign it prior to that because it's SB 607. It's an RCRC either sponsored or strong support bill. It has to do with loosening up CEQA for infill projects. That would be drafted as a letter of support. However, they're having a hearing on it on Monday, the 19th. So if we wait until the 20th and submit it, then it will be late to the hearing. So those are the three updates I have.
Thank you,
And
Jay. Supervisor.
Thank you, Chair. And Jay, I think on that last bill that you mentioned, the key thing for RCRC was the fact it was going to apply to counties as well outside of city limits. I think that's what the,
SB 607.
is that the one, is that the Caballero bill?
No, SB 607 is the Scott Wiener bill about infill projects.
Okay.
And I don't have that one on my list, but we did talk about that one this week.
All right.
Caballero's bill.
I think I sent forwarded an email. It wasn't, again, it was
Yeah.
an RCRC thing, but it was, I think it had something in there about that those same rules would apply to projects outside of city limits, you know, expanding it beyond infill.
Yeah, I'll look, well,
Okay.
it's okay with the chair. I'll look for it here while the rest of you do reports and try to get that number for you.
We've got some time. Supervisor Wamhoff?
And Jay, I think it was 1441, Soria's bill regarding the County of Merced redistricting. Do we know when that is supposed to go to committee, get out of committee? Anything?
I do not know.
Okay.
We did submit our letter last week.
Gotcha. Okay.
Using that.
I'd be curious to know what the updates are on that when we get them.
We're tracking it. Anyone else? Okay, we'll get a few, Jay, a few seconds. We're looking for it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Robert. It's SB 607 is Senator Caballero's bill. So let me find the correct number for Senator Wiener's bill about CEQA.
Because it is his bill.
It's his bill, isn't it? But it's going to appropriation.
Exactly.
So they want us to address it to Senator Caballero because she's chair of appropriation. Okay.
Right. And then it says it expands the infill exemption to unincorporated areas. So that's pretty cool. Good. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. With that, we'll move on to supervisor and staff reports. I'll start with Supervisor Rogers.
Yeah, I had a meeting with East Side Acres this last week. I appreciate all the staff that showed up for that. We had everybody from fire, sheriff, economic development, and code enforcement, and roads. Everybody was there, and they always appreciate the attention we pay to their community and the speed with which we react to their issues. And I really appreciate staff for that. They've really done a great job. Thank you.
Supervisor McCauley.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I had a couple meetings last week, including a couple meetings on short-term rentals, as well as a couple meetings on the Connecting Oakhurst project. So I want to thank staff for coming up on a Friday night as well as a Saturday to host those workshops along with the team at Mark Thomas. And then also want to make sure the public knows that I will not be at our board meeting next Tuesday. I will be at Western Interstate Region talking about energy and Forest Service and Park Service. In particular with Park Service, we've got an interesting initiative going forward where we're trying to create some more oversight over Yosemite National Park. So I want to thank Congressman McClintock for engaging with us on this effort. Hopefully it's something we can move across the finish. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Wamhoff.
Nothing previously to report, but I do want to note a couple of events. Have the Olive Charity Dinner this Friday and the Flatlanders Day Parade, which is this Saturday. So get your floats and be there.
Got the Chowchilla.
Chowchilla Parade Saturday as well. Spring Festival, and the fair opens Wednesday.
Supervisor Poitras.
Thank you, Chair. Excuse me. Last week, I had the opportunity to join some colleagues from RCRC on an advocacy trip to our nation's capital. There were 4 of us supervisors, as well as Pat Blacklock and a couple of the lobby staff with RCRC. And some of the things we talked about was rural broadband, the farm bill, natural resources, including biomass, direct local government funding, bypassing the state of California and directly to the county on certain issues, if that could happen, rural health care, and a few other items. We probably met with a dozen legislators and then probably half a dozen different departments. And we had to accomplish that, we had to split up in a couple different teams, 4 heading off to a few appointments and 4 heading off to another one. But covered a lot of ground, and I think we got our message out. It's kind of an interesting time in DC right now. It looks like, according to most people we talked to, there's not going to be a farm bill that's going to get passed this year, where things are still up in the air with Medicaid, which is the equivalent of Medi-Cal here in this state. We made the point that our costs are here and our reimbursements are here right now with Medi-Cal, and that's really important with our rural counties and rural hospitals. So, but we did get favorable reception from the EPA and the Department of Interior. They have new heads of those divisions that are much friendlier and open to reform in the area of rural counties. So, thank you.
Thank you. CAO Barney.
The status of AB 1441 remains unchanged, which was it was referred back to the Committee on Appropriations on April 30th, May 1. It has not been scheduled for a hearing yet. And then last week, I think the majority of us here at the dais attended Monty Pistoresi's funeral and reception, which was well attended and well arranged by the family and the folks there. And that's all I have.
Thank you. County Council.
No report, Madam Chair. Thank you.
And Madam Clerk.
On May 19th, it'll be Supervisor McCauley's birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday
He
to you.
beat me to the punch. I was gonna wish you well. Oh, a month maybe? 28 days, the baby on the board.
1986 baby, huh?
All right, anything from, I don't see staff, so thank you very much. With that, our next meeting is May 20th, and we will adjourn.
Thank you.